Hey, it's me, Captain Gold, and you're watching the second episode of my month-long Project Zomboid Survival Guide series for beginners. In the previous episode, I covered surviving the very first day in Riverside, Kentucky. Our protagonist, Rebecca Salvatore, managed to secure a safe house with some food and valuable supplies. If you haven't seen that episode, check it out before continuing on with this part. Anyways, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling on this episode. Becca wakes up on day 2 of the apocalypse at 5:40 a.m. after turning off the alarm on her digital watch. Since the day is just starting, I get her some breakfast and then sit her ass down to watch some Life and Living. That way she can get some free cooking XP. She then gets up, grabs another snack, and then proceeds to leave the house. I need to find a functioning car and better melee weapons, along with a how to use generators magazine. Then and only then can I settle down into a more permanent location. After terminating the single Zed wandering my neighborhood, I scanned the area only to find a sizable horde not too far from my safe house. Clearly that is the horde that was attracted to the house alarm from yesterday. I opt to ignore that threat for now. I then sneak by 3 infected freaks only to stumble on another house where a few Zeds were getting lit. Another group of infected were near this house, but they didn't seem to see me. So I continue down my path, heading towards the downtown district of Riverside. And by sheer luck, the coast is pretty much clear. That is until I turn past the corner of the hardware store. I lure 2 to the side and eliminate them. One of them finally notices the action but arrives too late to help her fallen comrades. I always like to check the inside of a building from the outside before entering. It's just a prudent practice to exercise. Also, always close the doors behind you. You don't want a Zed sneaking in when you're not watching. Now I have the whole store to myself. Time to go shopping. I find a hand torch and some more nails. I also find another useful book. I'll definitely need a propane torch and welding mask at some point, so I grab those items. It would also be wise to grab that trowel. An extra hammer is always helpful. Seed packets are lightweight, so there's never really a reason not to grab some. A shovel is not only a decent weapon, but it also provides some utility for long-term survival. Always gotta have some backup batteries for radios and my flashlight. And rope will definitely be helpful. Wood glue is goated. Now I can fix weapons with ease. A pipe wrench and lug wrench are must-haves. An extra pipe wrench is great for a secondary melee weapon. Finally, some truly reliable, long-range melee weapons. I can finally put the saucepan in my bag. Let me take another hammer as a third melee option. As I exit the store, I see that a group of infected are just chilling down the street. I guess I'm not going that way just yet. Whoa, these assholes were just camping there waiting for my ass. Now armed with a long blunt, I dominate these fools with my 8-inch lead pipe. Okay, maybe it's longer than 8 inches. Point being, I'ma fuck them up. The parking lot has 2 cars, maybe one of them has a key. And there's nothing useful in this red car, and it's also locked. I'd rather not break the window because car alarms actually exist in this game and it's not worth the risk downtown. And there's no key in the black car, but I unlock the trunk anyway to see if there's anything useful. And I find a wrench. That's kinda useful. I'm gonna grab it. Now I'm gonna check this dumpster for garbage bags. They make for decent bags themselves and are also needed for rain catches later in game. Oh, and the empty bourbon bottle is perfect for water. It has the best volume to weight ratio in the game. Of course the back doors are locked. I go around the building and I discover the post office, along with some Zeds. I'm gonna take this hat. Post office seems to have some visitors and it's also locked. I'm gonna go around the back to avoid the group I saw earlier. Remember, you don't always have to fight. If you can avoid the risk, just avoid it. And things seem pretty quiet back here. There's also plenty of cars. Ooh, lucky me, I found a key to this van. And I also found some useful items like alcohol wipes, toilet paper, and cigarettes. Time to check the other cars. This car has gas. Let's siphon it. Now I just pour this newly acquired gas into my newly acquired van. And now it's time to take this baby home, which completes one of my main objectives. I can now travel more effectively, which will allow me to eventually set up a permanent base. Now I just need the generator magazine and a generator itself. I have to be careful not to go too fast with my van, as to avoid potential crashes and to keep the noise level of my van low. Man, there's so many Zeds down the road from my safe house. I'm not gonna lie, that's a little bit concerning. I get back inside my base and check out the street from within the safety of my home. It appears that 2 bogeys are approaching, probably because of my van. No need to worry though, I'll deal with them shortly. First I gotta drop off some supplies and get some food and water. Then I head outside and take care of business. After dispatching these nearby threats, I opt to go back downtown on foot, as it's stealthier to do so. I need to get a gen mag. And you know what, maybe I'll loot a house or 2 on the way there. Seems like they took the party to the streets. One's even still inside, so I'ma just take the back way in. I'm gonna go ahead and grab me some chips and a book. Oh, and maybe some drinks and VHS tapes. I might as well treat myself to the food in this kitchen as well. I grab a tea bag as it can help reduce fatigue in a pinch. This part of town is now less dense. The group must have migrated elsewhere. Time to dispatch these pigs. Remove the glass and enter the fucking post office. Let me just turn the lights on. I'm not a big fan of the dark. If the lights can come on, they're coming on. Looks clear. Let me rest real quick as Becca is currently exhausted physically. After resting a bit, I decide to browse these shelves to see if I can find a gen magazine and other useful skill books. And to be honest, I found some good books, but I had no luck with the generator magazine. That being said, I opt to search the rest of the office's first floor. And I really found nothing that was noteworthy. The kitchen itself was totally empty. Since it was getting a little late, I decided to leave. I really don't want to be stuck outside at night. When I got back to my safe house, I decided to grab the roasting pan. This is an item that can be used for cooking. I used it to prepare a meal with chicken and some veggies. Cooking is great because not only does it feed you, but it also reduces boredom and unhappiness. After preparing the meal, I put the pan in the stove and turn it on. Keep an eye on that green bar. You want the food freshly cooked. Do not, under any circumstance, eat burnt food. It can actually kill you because of how burnt food is programmed in this game, which is programmed in a way that means it's similar to being rotten. You also want your freshly cooked meal to be warm to maximize the benefits of the meal. Bon appetite! Time to listen to the emergency broadcast system. And while I'm doing that, I'm also reading a book to reduce unhappiness. Being sad or depressed makes performing certain actions like switching weapons much slower. Since Becca has a fear of blood, that causes her to be more stressed than normal, so I decided to wash her clothes and her body. Once the bath was over, I went to bed. Becca then woke up a bit earlier than expected, so I decided to turn off the alarm on her digital watch. I really don't need it ringing unnecessarily as it can potentially attract Zeds outside. I then go into the kitchen and unload my loot into the cabinets for storage. I then watch the cooking show for free XP. I then decide to load my loot into garbage bags for the eventual move to a more permanent base. I'm doing this because bags lower the overall weight of the items inside them. It allows me to put more items into the trunk of my car. I then eat a quick meal and put all my bags in the van's trunk. Then I go back inside to read my Carpentry Volume 1 skill book. Now I may not complete it in time for woodcraft, but each page I read improves my XP multiplier. Oh, look at that, woodcraft is now on the telly. And just like that, I reach level 2 in carpentry. I then drop my carpentry book as I will no longer need the first volume. After that, I decide to leave the safe house on foot. I'm planning on going to the VHS store nearby. You can find skill tapes at the video store which grant you actual XP. I'm hoping to get exposure survival tapes, woodcraft tapes, and car zone tapes. Now I see some infected ahead of me, so I elect to sneak by them undetected because it'll preserve my weapon's durability and it'll also preserve my stamina. Also, as previously stated, it's always better to avoid risk when possible. Now, if I had used my van to get to the store, these Zeds would have followed me. Apparently, the area is teeming with the undead. I have to be careful. And I've been spotted. I opt to attract the other Zeds nearby. I'm hoping to kite them away from the store to make looting easier for me. If avoiding risk isn't possible, the next best option is to take the safe route of luring Zeds away from the area you're trying to scavenge. I'm going to get them to follow me back here, and then I'm going to risk jumping over the fence. Hopefully there isn't a mob on the other side. And fortunately, there isn't many back here. I can actually afford to fight them. I'm now at the back entrance of the store. Let me check the area first to make sure it's clear. As you can see, the door is locked, so I'm going to try to disassemble this metal door with a propane torch and welding mask. And the undead show up unexpectedly. And there's a decent amount of them present. I'm going to have to fall back. Fighting in this tightly compact area is risky as fuck. There's little to no room for movement, and I'd be fucked if Zeds come from my 6 in a pincer movement. You don't want to get encircled. I managed to lose the others, only to see more by the front side of the strip mall. But I need those videotapes, so there's no option left but to fight. Luckily, I've chosen an ideal battleground. In an open parking lot, I have plenty of room to maneuver. The key to fighting this many zombies with a melee weapon is to get them in a line and then to start whacking them. Pace yourself and always check your 6 when possible. Keep in mind that when you are physically exhausted, your melee strength and speed get massively debuffed. So don't forget to account for that when you are in the middle of combat. Once I cleared the area of Zeds, I ate some snacks and began to loot the store. I found a couple useful tapes, all ranging from the cooking show tapes, woodcraft tapes, exposure survival tapes, and one car zone tape, which is going to be very important. I then leave the store and start jogging home, taking a different route behind houses to prevent any Zeds from following me back to my safe house. When Becca arrived back at her safe house, I had her cook herself a meal. Then it was time for a bath. I then took apart some furniture for wood. I used this wood to craft a wooden plank with nails as a weapon. This new weapon will serve as a backup weapon for my metal pipe, as my other pipe was nearing the point of failure, meaning that it was no longer reliable and was kind of risky to continue using. I then swapped clothes and read a magazine to reduce stress and boredom. Becca is a smoker, so her depression will be difficult to fix until I can get some lighters for my cigs. After reading that magazine, it was then time for Becca to sleep. With all of that said, that concludes this episode of my month-long survival series for beginners. If you like this sort of content, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section, as it helps me with the algorithm. Lastly, feel free to check out my channel for additional content. I have plenty of tips and tricks in my shorts catalog. I'm Captain Gold, and I hope to see you in my next Zomboid video.